Hi, everybody. This is Maxine Taylor with another Trumpology report. Last time I did my Trumpology report, I promised you that I would do a report on Trump and the USA for this summer because of how critical everything was this summer. And this is the report. Before I jump into it, I want to tell you what I'm now offering you. And I want to do it now because once I get into this report, I want to do it and end it. And I don't want to forget anything. I am going to be sharing with you 3 months of activity in Trump's chart and the United States chart. I'm offering you a new special. It's called a 3 clips special. It is the entire year, starting with what I'm going to share with you in just a minute. Go to my website, MaxineTaylor.com. After I tell you what's going on in Trump's chart and the United States chart, I know you are going to want me to do the same thing for you. Not just for the summer, but for at least 12 months. So it's called the 3 clips special. It's right up there on the first page of my website, MaxineTaylor.com. All right, now. Let's talk about the summer. I know that many of you know that we're having 3 eclipses, hence the name of my special, the 3 clips special. But there is so much more going on, and I'm going to try and do it sequentially. I'm a Gemini, you know, I go all over the place, but I will try and be very, very succinct and to the point so that you can see exactly what's going on. All right. So let's start with the summer. And I've diagrammed it here. Do you remember when we were little kids? Maybe some of you didn't do this, but when my age group was a little kid, we used to diagram sentences. Well, I'm diagramming the celestial events for the summer, June, July, and August. This is just a 3-month picture. In your 3 clip special, you'll get the entire 12-month forecast. Okay. We start on June 27th with Mars going retrograde. And I've put a red frame around this because Mars frames the next couple of months. Mars is action, Mars is energy, Mars is sex, Mars is passion, Mars is gunfire, Mars is war. It can be channeled magnificently on the playing field. You know, I don't know if you are aware of this, but some of our best athletes have a very powerful Mars in their chart because football, hockey, it's even basketball, wonderful arena for the expression of energy and action. And games are wars in a socially acceptable arena. Okay, just little information. So Mars goes retrograde on June 27th. Those of you who are sensitive are going to feel this right around the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd. Mars being action and energy, when it goes retrograde, it's not like Mercury going retrograde. It's not confused. It's just flatlined. When a planet goes retrograde, by the way, it appears to be moving backwards in the heavens. It's not. But from where we observe it, it appears to be. And that's what it feels like here. We can't get traction. We can't get a foothold, a handhold. And so Mars is going to be retrograde officially from June 26th through August 28th. Okay? That means you're not going to start a new project during that time, if you can help it, because there's no action in it. You'll see it in commerce and industry. You'll see it in government. You'll see it internationally. You hear where I'm going with this. Okay. So that's the framework. Now, in the middle of this, Mercury goes retrograde, our dear friend Mercury, which rules our mouth and our minds. It rules communication, correspondence, transportation. It goes retrograde July 26th through August 19th. Now, I'm throwing these dates out to you. And what I think I'm going to do also, for those of you who study astrology, I'm going to give you the positions of these planets. If you do not study astrology, just tune this part out, all right? Because it'll be too confusing, and I'm not trying to confuse you. At the same time, I want to share this information with people who are students of astrology. Mars goes retrograde June 27th in 9 Aquarius 13. Find 9 Aquarius 13 in your birth chart. This is your solar chart that I'm going to be giving I've already done the solar reading on my YouTube channel, but I'm doing just a general solar reading now. Find 9 Aquarius in your birth chart. That is where Mars goes retrograde and where things stop. If you do not have a copy of your birth chart, go to my website, MaxineTaylor.com. Send me your birth data. Go to the contact page. Send me a little email saying, please send me a free copy of my birth chart, because it's free. I will send it to you and you'll be able to follow along. All right, back to what we're talking about. So Mercury goes retrograde. When Mercury goes retrograde, everything is confused. So we got nothing happening and everything confused. The mail gets confused, correspondence gets confused. You make plans to meet somebody at a restaurant, you get to the restaurant, they're not there. They've gone to a different restaurant, or they've already shown up and they've left. So you're not going to start a new project, especially from July 26th to August 19th. Now, Mars doesn't go direct until August 28th. So you're going to plan, you're going to prepare, but you're not going to launch because you don't have the oomph, the impetus, the energy that you need. And then in the middle of all that, you've got Mercury saying, are you sure? What are we doing? What's going on? Okay. In the middle of all this, we have 3 eclipses. Now, you know, I love eclipses. They are a cosmic 2x4. They can be a gentle nudge forward, or maybe a stronger nudge forward. So the first eclipse, solar eclipse. Oh, I forgot to give you Mercury's positions and the rest of Mars. So sorry. Typical Gemini, forgive me. Mars goes retrograde June 27th in 9 Aquarius. It goes direct August 28th in 28 Capricorn. Look for 28 Capricorn in your birth chart, because that's where things are going to start moving forward. And then Mars is going to move forward. When it moves into 9 Aquarius, it will have finished the total retrograde picture. And we'll get into that in a minute. Mercury goes retrograde, as I mentioned, July 26th in 23 Leo. Find 23 Leo in your birth chart. That's where, and you're going to feel this about a week ahead. Some of you do not feel these retrogrades. Most of us do. Either way, they're going on. And a lot of us have Mercury retrograde in our birth chart, so we're used to it anyhow. Mercury will go direct on August 19th in 11 Leo 32. That's a very powerful point. I'm going to tell you why. Then the eclipses. The first eclipse is July 13th in 20 Cancer 41. Look for 20 Cancer in your birth chart. This is where the solar eclipse will occur, which is a new moon. That's when things start moving forward. The second eclipse of the summer is July 27th. It's a full moon, and that's when things come to a head. Now, it occurs on July 27th, as I said, in 4 Aquarius 45. Some of you know where I'm going to be going with Mars in this eclipse. This is my concern, and I'm going to share it with you because we're going to work through it and move along through it together. And then August 11th is the final eclipse in 18 Leo 42. So this is the picture. This is the framework. Now, I'm going to apply this to Trump's chart and to the United States chart. And I've got some notes here. If you could see them, you're going to wonder how I can read them, because so much is going on. And I want to make sure I'm covering everything. So All right. Let us start with the framework, Mars. This is Trump's summer forecast. It starts in his 6th house of work, health, and service. So there's a slowing down in that area. This is also the house of employees, which means the people that he appoints to various positions. He as commander-in-chief would be the boss, and they would be the employees. And so there can be nothing moving in this area. Now, Mars retrogrades back into the 5th house of fun and games, children, sex, sports, all kind of fun things. And when it goes direct, then it's going to, that's when the energy will move forward. Obviously, it's going to go through that 5th house again and into the 6th. So what was begun in the 6th house of work, health, and service will be completed at that time. Mars, again, rules anger, passion, gunfire, war, inflammation when it occurs in the 6th house of work, health, and service. Doesn't mean he's going to have inflammation, but I'm just throwing that out to you because I know a lot of you study astrology and I want to give you every option to interpret this on your own. Okay? All right. That's Mars. We have just scratched the surface. Mercury. When Mercury goes retrograde, it goes retrograde in his 12th house of behind-the-scenes activities. And so wherever Mercury is, that's what we think about and talk about. So there's a lot of talk going on behind the scenes. But Mercury's going to go retrograde on July 26th. And that means there's all kind of confusion behind the scenes. On a personal level, this is the subconscious, but because of the nature of the job of president, this deals with hidden enemies. The 12th house is the house of hidden enemies, prisons. And I know this is not a mundane chart. The United States is a mundane chart. But because we're dealing with a president, let me remind you that the 12th house deals with spies, hidden enemies, prison, jail, charitable institutions, welfare, mainly all kind of behind-the-scenes activities that we will not know about. It's hidden. Mercury goes direct on August 19th in 11 Leo 32. Trump's Pluto is 10 Leo 03. When Mercury goes direct on that Pluto, Pluto rules control or transformation, but that transformation involves symbolic death and rebirth. So Pluto in Trump's chart rules his 4th house of home, family, real estate, land, everything that provides emotional security. So there's a lot going on that we will not be privy to relating to his family, to his land holdings, real estate, and it's either, I can't imagine how that this would manifest, but liquidation, because it's out with the old, in with the new. It's all or nothing. So there may be behind the scenes, well, there won't be maybe. There will be behind the scenes activity relating to control over all sorts of 4th house issues. And I've just mentioned them as family, real estate, etc. They may come out in the news at some point, but that is what is going on. And I'm going to tie all this together in a minute. So bear with me, all right? When I sat down to do this, I was overwhelmed. And when I get to the United States chart, I'll tell you where I was just overwhelmed with information. Well, you'll see. Those of you who study astrology know what I'm talking about. Okay, and I'm going to share all that with you right now. So let's go to the eclipses. So the first eclipse is July 13th. It's a solar eclipse. It sits on Trump's Saturn and Venus in the 11th house of friends. Saturn in the 11th deals with loyalty. Saturn, Venus, conjunctions coming together. Conjunctions deal with loyalty. And so he is going to call in his chips. I think he'll deal more. He will speak to his friends more and ask for their loyalty. He can solidify his friendship circle. Now, Venus is love. Venus rules his midheaven of his career. So friends relating to his career who can help him. You might say, is that Congress? There's a very good chance. Absolutely. That he'll turn to his friends in Congress to help him along. Now, Saturn rules his 6th house of work, his 7th of contracts and relationships, and it rules the interception in his 5th house. So it's 5, 6, and 7. So when he calls in his chips, he's calling in a great deal. And he's expecting support from groups of people, and I think he'll get it because it's a solar eclipse. Okay, the next eclipse is July 27th. In his 6th house. This is a full moon. And when on a full moon, things go pop. Now, remember, during this time, on the 26th, Mercury goes retrograde. So the day before the eclipse, you've got all this confusion going on in his 12th house. Okay. I don't want to get lost here. And so, you remember the 6th house that I talked about? Where Mars goes retrograde? Mars and the lunar eclipse are both in the 6th house. The lunar eclipse is on July 27th. Let me find my notes. At some point, and I have it written down here, I'll get to it when I summarize. Mars is conjunct that eclipse point. That eclipse point is a full moon. And a full moon is when things come to a head. And they will both be, I hope I'm not misreading this, yes. The July 27th eclipse is in 4 Aquarius 45. Mars is going to be in 4 Aquarius on July 24th through the 27th. So it's not just a plain old full moon going pop, bringing things to a head, but Mars, passion, energy, anger, is right on top of it. Very, very interesting. And I'll give you these dates again so that you'll have them, because I'm going to just summarize and you can jot them down. Also, you can replay this video anytime you want to. All right. Now, where was I? Final eclipse, August 11th. The August 11th eclipse is in 18 Leo 42. 18 Leo 42. Find that in your own chart. It sits at the midpoint between Mars and Pluto. Mars in Trump's 12th house indicates behind the scenes passion, anger, sex, rage, war, arguing. Pluto in the 12th house is control or transformation. Out with the old, in with the new. Probably control, or at least the attempt for control. When this solar eclipse sits on that midpoint, both of those planets are activated. The need to be in control and rage, anger, passion. The 12th house once again deals with our hidden enemies, with things that are private, that do not come to the attention of the public. So there's going to be a lot of speculation about what's going on and with whom. And a lot of, I would imagine, conversations relating to who's going to be in control and who's going to start a fight. Solar eclipse. Okay, now here's the whole picture. These are the areas of Trump's chart that are triggered this summer. As I mentioned, Mars is in the 6th and then backs up into the 5th. And it is conjunct the lunar eclipse. And I'll give you the dates one more time. This area of work, health, and service and employees, very volatile, as is the 5th house of children. Now, he's got the 11th house triggered by the solar eclipse on the 13th, but look at this 12th house. Mercury's going retrograde. It's triggering Mars and Pluto. The solar eclipse is triggering Mars and Pluto. We have got a lot of behind-the-scenes activities going on that are very upsetting to Trump, that we may or may not see publicly, but I think we'll see the effects of them. Now I'm going to give you those dates that I promised you. All right. The July 27th eclipse and transiting Mars are both conjunct. I mean, the eclipse doesn't move, but at the eclipse point is in 4 Aquarius between July 24th and July 27th. You're going to have to give a wider orb to that, so maybe a few days before and a few days afterwards. This can be explosive. It can be. Mercury on July 26th is also conjunct. No, it's not. Excuse me. Is at that. I'm not even going to talk about that because I'm getting confused myself looking at all of this stuff. Okay. Oh, here we go. The lunar eclipse on July 27th. And gosh, I've got too many lines here, guys. Please forgive me. Okay. Here's what I was going to mention. Mercury. Mercury goes direct in 11 Leo 32. This is the same degree as the January 31st eclipse, which we've already had. And so 11 Leo 32 is right on Trump's Pluto. This is the need for control, the behind the scenes need for control, the out with the old, in with the new. Now, after Mars goes direct, it's going to move back into that 6th house, and it is going to be at 4 Aquarius, October 26th and 27th. What else was 4 Aquarius? The lunar eclipse on July 27th. And so after Mars goes direct, it gains momentum, it gains passion, and we will see it in its full glory. Eclipses are strongest 3 to 4 months after they occur. The eclipses are July and August. This means October and November. So October 26th and 27th, Mars is in 4 degrees Aquarius. The lunar eclipse on July 27th is also in 4 degrees Aquarius. And it will be strongest October and November. Watch this spot. That's what I'm saying. I know I've left out a lot of other things with Mercury, and Mercury is in, on July 19th, goes direct in 11 Leo 32. And that was the January eclipse. All right, I'm just overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. I can't keep track of all of this stuff. You hear what I'm saying. Let me show you the United States chart, and I'll show you why I'm a little preoccupied with that eclipse Mars conjunction. You know, I'm trying to keep this simple, and as an astrologer, I'm getting deeper and deeper into it. I hope I haven't lost you. I know some of you are following along because you've already mapped this out. Okay, let me look now with you at the United States chart. Now, for those of you who study astrology, I use the 7 Gemini rising chart. Why? Because it works. It works for me. Astrology, as you know, is a brilliant, magical science. And there are several charts that we use. Different astrologers prefer different charts for the United States. I use the one that works for me. All right. So let's go through this. And the minute I get into it, you're going to know why I have been so concerned about what's going on. I did a previous video and I deleted it because I was so unsettled by what I had seen. And now I'm able to present it to you in a way that I think we can all take it and run with it. I hope we can. Okay? So let's talk Mars. Mars in the United States chart is in the 9th house. Now, the 9th house deals with the upper courts. It deals with long distance travel. When I learned astrology back in 1966, that's when I started learning astrology, we said the 9th house was foreigners. Nowadays, there are no foreigners, just people who live far away from us. We are one union. We are one family of people. We are one whole. With the internet, with international communication, correspondence, and transportation, the world is a smaller place. So I can't call them foreigners. They are friends in other lands. So if I say people who live in other lands, you know what I'm talking about. Let me see, foreign travel, well, I have to use the word foreign. Religion, the Supreme Court, I mentioned that. World trade, very important to us. Let's talk about Mars. Mars goes retrograde on June 27th. Let me give you I promised you the exact dates and places. In 9 Aquarius 13. Our south node is 7 Aquarius 37. Now, the south node is the area in a mundane chart where there can be losses. In a birth chart, the south node is that which you have mastered in past lives. So it's very easy for you. It's very simple for you. You are instinctively drawn to it, instinctively because it's the south node of the moon. But if you spend too much time there, it will be draining. Do you have the south node in your 4th house of your birth chart? You love being home, but if you spend too much time there, you get cabin fever, right? Okay. So the United States chart has the south node in the 9th house, helping people from other lands, communication with people from other lands, the higher courts, and long distance transportation and correspondence, and markets, distance, world trade. I love that expression. It retrogrades, and on August 28th, it sits on Pluto. When I think of Pluto in a mundane chart, I think of all or nothing. It is either control or total out with the old, in with the new. When I think of Pluto, I'm thinking plutonium. I'm thinking, all or nothing. Mars is passion, energy, action, war, gunfire, and I'm seeing it on Pluto. Pluto in the United States chart rules Scorpio in the 6th house. The 6th house deals with our health, our jobs, our civil servants, our pets, of course, the military. The military. You see my concern. I'm incredibly concerned about this. And the first time I did this video, I said, I wish that the people running our world, some of them are magnificent, others of them are acting like children. I wish they would grow up. It is time to grow up. We don't want Mars sitting on that Pluto. It reminds me of somebody with their finger on the button. And so that was of concern to me. Now, Mars, of course, is going to go direct. It's going to go back over our south node. And after this forecast, it will sit on our midheaven. But I'm going to continue to give you monthly reports. So you'll know exactly what's going on in the United States chart. But when Mars is up here at the top, which it will not be during this 3-month period, and it will sit on our moon, which, of course, the 10th house is our public image. It's the president. It will be very interesting to see how this manifests, and I'll keep you posted. Okay, that was my initial concern. Let's talk now about Mercury. And Mercury, you know, is what we think about and talk about. Well, in the United States chart, it's in the 4th house, and it retrogrades into the 3rd. The 4th house deals with real estate. It deals with the party out of power, which would be the Democrats. It deals with domestic affairs, with the land itself and weather. Well, look what's happened to our land because of our weather. We've got fires, we've got lava, we've got volcanoes, we've got explosions, we've got droughts, we got it freezing cold up north in the Northeast up until recently. We've got people who have lost their homes. 4th house is home. Man, okay. It deals with crops. Crops are destroyed in bad weather. And as I always like to say, it deals with seniors because I'm in that group. Now, Mercury's going to retrograde. And on August 11th, where did we hear August 11th before? The solar eclipse is on August 11th. It's the same day that Mercury goes retrograde on the cusp of the 4th house, the IC. The cusp of any house is the strongest point in the chart. So look at August 11th as a critical day. Then it backs up and it goes direct on August 19th. And on 11 Leo 32, in 11 Leo 32, I mean, we've got repeat numbers all over the place. Those of you who study numerology, I'm sure are having a field day with us. Then it will go direct and cross back over the 4th cusp, August 25th and 26th, just a couple of days before Mars goes direct. So you can hear, it's just going to be boom, 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 boom. That's why I said I know you're going to want your own forecast, not just for these 3 months, but for the rest of the year. And, well, for 12 months. Sometimes when I do a forecast, it's for 18 months because the aspects continue so long. Okay. Now let's look at eclipses for the United States chart. All right. The first eclipse is July 13th in 20 of Cancer. It sits on our Mercury in the 3rd house of communication, correspondence, transportation. Interesting, transportation, transformation. Mercury in our 3rd house, first of all, let me remind you, is communication. It deals with the press. It deals with travel. You know, we've had so many accidents, air accidents, train accidents, driverless cars, automobile accidents. It's just what is. It deals with news, the mail, public opinion, the 3rd house I'm talking about, traffic and travel, newspapers, neighborhood matters, schools, teachers, and all public transportation. The solar eclipse is a shot in the arm for that because it's a new moon. And this is really cool. The second eclipse, July 27th, is on our south node. And you remember I told you that I'm very concerned with the conjunction of Mars and this eclipse right up there on our south node. Because there is a letting go, a loss on some level. It may be the negotiations, it may, who knows how it's going to manifest. Truly, the astrology shows you the blueprint. It's up to the individuals involved in implementing the blueprint that determine how it manifests. And that is why I'm calling upon all of our leaders, those with sane heads, to attempt perhaps to influence those who might not have as sane an outlook. Okay? So we've got this eclipse on July 27th. Remember, eclipses are strongest 3 to 4 months after they occur. That's October, November. Okay? And of course, that is when, if I remember correctly, Mars is going to be going back over that same spot. So even though Mars may be retrograde, once it goes direct, that is when the action stuff comes galloping through, and the effects of the eclipses are at their peak. Now, the final eclipse is August 11th. It sits right here in the 4th house of the United States on that cusp. Again, the cusp. And what this means is there's going to be lots of action, lots of activity, dealing with home and family and real estate matters, with weather, with land, with teachers, with public transportation, with news reporting. And every time I see this, I want to thank our people in the news who do such a beautiful job sharing with us, given the information that they receive. I am so grateful to all of you who are such marvelous researchers and come up with information that we would not otherwise have. Information that you have documented, that we know is true. Love it. So here's the whole picture for the United States, in case you hadn't gotten it yet. Because there's just so much of it. So let me go back over it with you. And I'm going to find my notes and see what I can do about giving you every piece of it. I think what I may have to do, because I'm giving you 3 months rather than 1 month, I'm not as overwhelmed during a 1 month period as I am with a 3 month period, with planets going over the same places as other planets, kicking it up, stirring it up. Okay, first with Mars, we have Mars on in our ninth house, sitting on Pluto, just waiting, testing the waters. Mars is explosive, can be explosive, it's gunfire, but it's retrograde. It goes retrograde on our south node. The lunar eclipse on July 27th is also on our south node. There's your double whammy. Mars retrogrades and sits on Pluto, where it goes direct. And that is when we want to really be aware and alert. It goes direct on August 28th. After August 28th, I'm not including that in this report because, as I said, I'm just overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. I've got so much to share with you. Okay. Mercury going back and forth from the 4th house, home, family, emotional security, land, and 4th house is the party out of power. Moves into the 3rd house of communication, correspondence, transportation, where it goes direct, and then it goes back over the foundation, the 4th house cusp, August 25th and 26th. The eclipses, July 13th, that sits on our Mercury. There's going to be a lot more news, a lot more. that is going to be reported. I'm thinking that this might be the time that committees bring forth their information and share it. Okay, so that we can have it. So that might be a time when that will be a time when we get more information. I'm not going to say can be. I'm not going to hedge bets. It's going to be a time when information is going to be forthcoming from special investigators, from special committees. This is going to be a time when we hear, when we get reports. And keep in mind that the eclipses are strongest October and November. Keep in mind that midterms are November. So this is a very important time. Okay, second eclipse, July 27th. I talked about that one. July 13th over here. And the final eclipse, August 11th, right at the foundation of our chart. I feel like this is when the Democratic Party, simply because the fourth house is the party out of power. That's when they will be energized. But along with that comes everything else I've described to you. So I'm going to give you a much more detailed picture every month. I've just done the June Trumpology report. You can watch it on my YouTube channel. I will do July in greater detail. I will be less confused, okay? Because I only have 1 month to deal with at a time. But you understand where my concern is with Mars and the July 27th eclipse. I think I've given you plenty to think about. What I'm going to suggest is that you remember who you are. You are source energy in a physical body. You are spirit made manifest. I'm calling on light workers, star seeds, walk-ins, and everyone who is here to lift the planet to do just that. To visualize yourself living in the kind of world that you want to live in. I do that all the time. And I can tell you, what I receive is love. I receive it from friends, from strangers. And when you give love, you receive love. You don't win wars by warring. It may appear that you do, but the devastation, the toll is horrible. If you will recognize your mission and what you can do simply by keeping a positive attitude and knowing that you make a difference. And with that in mind, I'm going to suggest that those of you who may have been thinking about running for office, maybe it's time to step forward. Maybe it's time for you to express yourself. Place yourself in a position where you are available to be elected. I feel that, well, I've seen that there are more women running. I've seen that there are more people of color running. I'm very hopeful about a beautiful change that we all can make to create a world of love, a world of peace, in spite of what may be going on. Because, well, just because. If you're not happy with what's going on in government, call your representatives, call your congressman, and maybe, just maybe, run for office yourself. I will be with you again for the July forecast. If you have questions, of course, you know how to reach me on my website, MaxineTaylor.com. Take advantage of my 3 clips special. And thank you, all of you who are in the light and share your good wishes with me. I feel your love. I feel your energy. And so to all of you out there, till we meet again, May the stars shine brightly on you and yours. Peace out, Max.